Hi, this is Michael Uslan. You're listening to Batman on Film.
I'm vengeance.
I have given a name to my pain.
The Batman.
Always waiting for some Batman to save you.
It's simple. We kill the Bat of Gotham. I'm Batman. Far there when the structures fail you, when the rules aren't weapons anymore, they're shackles, letting the bad guy get in here. One day, you may face such a moment of crisis, and in that moment, I hope you have a friend like I did. To plunge their hands into the filth, so that you can keep yours clean.
Welcome to the BOF Chronicles, Part 4. I am the host and senior BOF contributor, Ryan Lauer. Batman on Film is the host as well as a member of the Batman Podcast Network. Just go to BOF.com, BatmanOnFilm.com, and you can find a whole list, the Batman Podcast Network link there, the whole list of other Bat-related shows that touch on some other nerdy topics. Now joining me, as always, is the guest of honor, the editor-in-chief, the gumbo guru of Texas, Bill Jet Ramey. Bill, welcome back.
I am not going to argue with that moniker at all. So
it happened once. It seemed the most fitting. The gumbo guru. I think it makes it onto every social hour.
Fine with
somehow.
Me.
Gumbo.
Fine with me. Yes. Hello, everybody. How are you, Ryan?
I'm doing great.
Okay.
I feel. Let's get it out of the way now. It's gloomy. Somewhat chilly October day up in Northeast Indiana. How is it down in Texas?
It was 56 this morning up here in the greater Dallas-Fort Worth metropolitan area. And it's going to be in the 80s for a high. Oh. And then we're going to be we get to experience some more 90s this weekend.
Wow.
Yay.
All right.
Yay. Then it'll drop back. Then I looked again after this weekend. It goes back down to low 50s and 70s and 80s. So I'm not going to complain about that. The 50s and the 70s and the 50s and the 80s. But I'm kind of over the 90s. It's freaking October. It's football season. Come on now.
Yeah. Let's say, how's that affect your tailgating? Since you're so much closer to them Cowboys now.
I did tailgate. I went to the Carolina game this last Sunday, and we did tailgate. It was about 88. It wasn't bad. Bad. I've got one of those canopies, and so we were shaded. It was nice. No,
you're a professional tailgater.
I'm trying to get there again. I was back in my younger days in the 2000s. I was a big time tailgater at Old Texas Stadium, but I'm getting it back now that it's much easier for me to make it up here on a regular basis to games. So
how long of a drive is that for you to get to the stadium?
I am about no traffic, about a half hour to 40 minutes from AT&T Stadium in Arlington. And so we got up and left at 8 a.m. or before 8, and we were there straight in. The traffic was fine Sunday morning. So much better than doing it from when I lived in Tomball in the Houston area, and that was a 4-hour trek there and back.
Crap.
So.
Ooh, that's an all-day adventure.
Yes. Yeah.
Now it's just most of the day.
And I am only about maybe 15 minutes from the Star in Frisco, that's their headquarters training facility.
Gotcha.
Got that whole area up there. It's an entertainment district. You'll see when you come up here for the watch party for the Batman, you'll have to check out the Star Entertainment District. It's cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I know the last social hour you did with Pete, you kind of said, I'm really glad the Cowboys won this past week because you said that usually that sets your mood.
It does.
Yes,
I admit it. I am petty like that. During football season, my moods for the week, especially for Mondays, is based on whether the Dallas Cowboys win a football game or not.
And I feel bad for your students when you were a teacher.
I just usually didn't say much. I just pass out worksheets and don't bother me.
Leave me alone. Do your worksheets.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Excellent. Well, we're definitely talking about. We're continuing on through. This is like the This Is Your Life version of Batman on Film, and now we're talking The Dark Knight Rises. So happier times. But before we get to that, Bill. We've been doing and asking you, how have you been Batmaning lately?
Oh, I'm reading that one that you turned me on to from your show, the Batman Book Club, The Dark Prince Charming.
All right.
And I'm liking it.
Excellent.
I like the artwork quite a bit. Let's see. And, like I always say, every day's Batman Day.
Of course.
For me, I've been trying not to, but I still do. I'm like checking out things to purchase. Don't tell announcer Rachel. And some of the stuff we get, some of the comics I'm reading that we get for reviewing purposes. Like I said, I've given up on Batman.
Yeah.
And I'm waiting for the creative team change to pick it back up again. So, but
that's it.
Yeah.
Have you ordered the new Lego Bat Cowl yet?
No, in fact, I was going to ask you, is it available to order?
It's available to order now.
Okay.
It's shipping now. I don't know that it'll be in regular retail stores. It's available in the Lego stores now. So there you go. This one came out about 2 months ago, but I've been Batmaning with the
that's nice.
66 Batmobile, Adam West Batman, and Cesar Romero Joker.
Oh, that's
I couldn't
awesome.
help it.
Yeah.
I was at Walmart the other day and they finally had a bunch of them in. And I said, come on. You're the gumbo guru. I'm a Lego guru. I am trying to find that Batman 89 grappling gun, that NECA. Pete got his hands on one.
Yeah, he sent me a picture. So I saw some on eBay about double the price you would pay it at if you happen upon one at a Target or a Walmart or whatever. So
I think keep hunting for it because it's still pretty new that you don't have to resort to.
I gotta get a hold of one of those. So
gotcha.
And I'm starting to get. Hey, we got Fandom in a week and a half.
10 days, yeah.
I think when was the last Chronicle we did? Was it March, April?
6 months ago.
Okay.
It was like 6 months ago.
All right. So we were at that time we were a year.
Yeah.
Or a year plus from the Batman. Right now, as we sit, we're under the 5 month mark by a couple of days.
Mm-hmm.
So the Batman is
coming.
It's coming. That the hashtag? And starting with Fandom, man, this thing is it's gonna be a tidal wave, just up until March.
Maybe the next BOF Chronicles we do, we're both still going to be fired up, like the Cowboys just won the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
still because of Fandom.
Yes.
What's happening?
So it's going to be awesome to see what they pull out for the Batman. That's going to be like the headliner, right? That's got to be.
That's the main event.
Sure.
The other stuff is going to be fun, but the Batman is the main event, and it's also nice that's going to be 4 hours instead of the all day 8 check-in. Last year. It was fun doing that last year. It was fun, but I'm happy that it's only 4 this year. So.
Well, it was great last year. I think they took what worked and made it better. A 4 hour block is cool. That's
great. Yeah.
That's plenty of time for people that want to, invest in that.
As long as they insert like 30-second, bathroom breaks. Like
sure.
Everybody home, go to the bathroom right now, real quick.
Yeah.
Fill up your beverage.
Yeah.
And then get going. So very cool. All right. Well, we're going to talk happy times now.
Mm-hmm.
last time I think I had a great time listening and talking and reliving the Dark Knight experience. And so would it be safe to say that at that point, BOF was seeing its highest amount of traffic?
Sure.
Is the Dark Knight era for sure.
Pinnacle. Yeah.
Pinnacle BOF time. So once the Dark Knight came out, once the hype settled a little bit after the release, and let's even say after it was released on disc, like where were you at with the site? Because I know there was definitely instantly when the second one came out, there was a, Christopher Nolan one more, make this a trilogy, but there was the you could almost say, the baggage of, well, Heath Ledger had passed, so how can you even do another story? And there was no word yet, and obviously it's only been a couple months removed of the Dark Knight of a next movie. So what were you thinking with the site? Where were you at with that?
I wanted another film, but I honestly wondered whether he would do a third film. And even some people I knew that worked on The Dark Knight was like, I don't know, it's like how you top it, and the ending is fantastic. I mean, literally, I'm glad we got Rises and completed the story, but he could have just said, this is the end of the story, really. And just Batman, he's now the Dark Knight, and whatever happens after the events of that film is you play it out in your head like he likes to do with his filmmaking. So
you started to get some what do you want to say? Some friends that knew the scoop from the inside scoop. Were there even rumblings before he even announced Inception? Were there any rumblings that he's going to, or was it pretty much up in the air, even the stuff that wasn't being released publicly?
I say it was probably more up in the air than people saying, he's going to do a third film, and the fact that there is a 4-year gap between The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, maybe he did some. And I'm just speculating.
Sure.
I don't know. Maybe he had to, he had to think it through, and if he wanted to go through that again, because you're committing a couple of years of your life once you go down the road to making a Batman film. Look, for Pete's sake. No pun intended with our Pete Vera.
Shout out Peter Vera. There you
go. Matt Reeves has been working on the Batman since 2017.
Yeah.
And that's almost getting to be 5 years. So, but I don't think it was because Heath Ledger's passing meant that he couldn't use the Joker again. I am one I've always believed that it was not a given at all that the Joker would have been the main villain in the third film. Because number one, I don't see Chris. You just did a classic Batman Joker story. Why would he repeat? It's the same thing, in the next film. And it's very, very old, very 70s, 80s, 90s type of, we'll make a sequel. It'll be like basically the first film, but it's just a sequel and we'll change a few things. But, the plot's essentially the same. The villain comes back. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Don't you think? I don't see him repeating himself. Now, that doesn't mean that the Joker could have showed up at some point in some small role. Cillian Murphy, Scarecrow type, he shows up as the judge.
Yep.
Maybe it's the Joker, as the judge, who knows? So, but no, I think I know that David Goyer had said at one time, we planned on 3, and Chris has even said, we wanted to do a trilogy, and we had a rough outline rough idea where we wanted to go. In fact, Goyer said we knew how it was going to end for a long time, how the story would end. Just the specifics weren't there. So when they made The Dark Knight, a lot of the things that they thought would end up being in the third film ended up in The Dark Knight.
Oh,
because Nolan is one that always says, don't save anything. If it needs to be in this film, then put it in there. Don't hold anything back. A sequel will take care of itself. If there needs to be a sequel, it'll take care of itself. Don't save anything. Put it all into one film, and if it needs to be in there, and that's what he did for Dark Knight, because
it seems like that's usually that's been his mantra. I can remember for as long as I can remember of even Begins, I think, because in watching behind the scenes stuff and him saying that, they thought about Harvey Dent including, and then they couldn't do him justice, and then pack everything into this film. Don't lay the seeds for the next one. So that makes total sense. So there's such a gap in that. What do you post on Batman on Film? How do you keep new posts coming up on Batman on Film in that long gap? Because you're looking at a little over 2 years now that no one's working on Inception. There's Dark Knight Rises 2 years after Inception. So what do you do in that gap?
A lot of that was a time where the site probably expanded more than it, than being just a Batman on Film, literally Batman on Film site, to more of a to including, it still is that's the main thing,
Sure. Yeah.
But there are comic book reviews, and we cover different things that are Batman, animation. And, I think at that time started going through the animated series with, recaps and little reviews, and covering, the Batman animated series. And then, a lot of the, Batman Brave and the Bold, all that stuff, during that period, more Batman things other than the medium of film. So that kept the site busy, kept me busy. And then anything that any rumor that would come out that was halfway legit, we discuss it on the site. And, it was a couple of years before, there was news that, we're going to get it.
I think there would be some, if you do like a poll or a mailbag or something, and you would kind of ask what would be, where could Nolan even take the story? And I know that was when we brought up, because I think that was around the time I'd first read Prey. And I remember Prey had been like, this could be a really cool route that they could go, like they're hunting the Batman sort of route for Dark Knight Rises.
I've always figured that it would be something hunting the Batman, right? I didn't know that he would pull from Dark Knight Returns and, and make it the 8-year gap and Batman. He did. It's a straight nod to the Dark Knight Returns,
it's TDKR.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's right there. There you go.
Yeah.
But also the cop saying, oh, you're in for a show tonight.
Oh,
son.
yeah.
That was the first indicator to me. But anyways, do you remember when it was confirmed no one's come back for a new one? Did that happen before there was a title? Do you remember the sequence of that? Because then I think that obviously came, and then the casting started.
I think that there was an announcement there was going to be a third and final film. And then I want to say, and I may be wrong, but I think he was doing press for Inception, and he was asked about Batman. He said, yes, we are doing the third film, and our film is going to be called The Dark Knight Rises.
Cool.
And that was around that time. So somewhere in there, somewhere like that. But he did say that. That was in an interview that he revealed the title. But the fact that there was going to be a new film was revealed before that. Okay. But about 2010, late 2009, 2010, around that area.
And then I feel like it was a summer of 2010. Is that when Hardy was first cast?
It's that sound. I want to, that was like a May thing. Maybe not, because I want to say that first pit, he started dropping pictures when they started filming. So that would probably be, that was in 2011. Remember that first picture that they dropped of Hardy as Bane? It was from the back and his head to the side. Yeah.
Profile of the mask. And I remember Hardy. So Hardy was before Hathaway, but it doesn't feel like, and I don't remember dates, but Hardy was just a little bit, not far behind him was the Hathaway casting, but with Hardy was definitely, because he'd just come off Inception. And to me, he was, I was like, man, who's this guy? I really loved him as Eames in Inception. And so then, looking at his back catalog a little bit, and I'd watched some of his other movies, and that got me really excited. Not to mention the fact that Nolan was using a character like Bane. Do you remember how your reaction was when you'd first heard that one?
Honestly, I was told by someone that this was someone who was like, wasn't well versed on Batman mythos, but was someone in the business, obviously, and he was like that. It was like, I think he's going to use that, that character that's all steroid out. And I went, Bane. They went, yeah. So I knew before, but I kept my mouth quiet. I never said anything. And then it finally came out that, Tom Hardy, who was in Inception, he's gonna be Bane.
And it's funny because I think at that point, Nolan and company had earned all of our trust, which I think you would write in BF a lot too of interesting, but I trust Nolan. At that point, why would we not? Especially coming off the greatest superhero movie. I mean, still at that point with The Dark Knight of whatever with the casting. And so I think that one to me felt very almost unanimous of support of people were like, awesome, it's going to be Bane. Oh, Tom Hardy, he was just an Inception. And then of course, because fandom always has to have it, we had an updated Michael Keaton, Batman, Heath Ledger, Joker moment with Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. And the absurdity of some of the backlash with that, but I still came across a lot of positive for that one, because tell me about when you heard about that casting. It's been for Selena Kyle.
Didn't know about that one.
Okay.
She was not someone who people were fan casting for the role. Maybe a blind squirrel found a nut, with that at some point, so some Anne Hathaway maybe, but not on my radar. You go to, I hate doing it. You go to like stereotypical, you try to match them exactly to the comic book aesthetic, but I was like, yeah, because I knew she was a good actress, and that's first and foremost. And there was some nonsense with Tom Hardy, people that, he's too small, and Bane, Bane should be CGI and, stuff like that. So I was just more interested in how they were going to adapt Bane for that world, Yeah. So that was my thing.
Luchador mask and pipes going in the back of the head. That doesn't seem like Nolan's ordeal.
And I was wondering how they would do Venom. I thought Venom is not ironically, Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy is
Venom now. That is kind of funny, but the Batman version of the drug Venom, the steroid. It's I thought it might be something along. I thought, yeah, you can do that. You can literally do a steroid type, a super steroid that would, but the whole thing with it being more of an anesthetic that he breathes and inhales that enhances him a little bit and keeps the pain, whatever, his chronic pain from overwhelming his body was pretty cool as well.
Yeah.
Pretty,
Yeah. So we knew Christian Bale would be coming back. We've got Hathaway and Hardy aboard, and then Michael Caine's returning and Morgan Freeman, all that. I feel like that was the back half of 2010, early 2011, and then we'd heard that they were going to be filming majority of the film in Pittsburgh, and by now you're a seasoned vet on covering Batman filming. And tell me now how you got invited to join in on the filming and on the fun of the summer 2011 there in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I wondered why they didn't go back to Chicago. And I don't know the business aspects, but I'm sure that played a role in it. No matter what the filmmakers of the studio said. I'd heard
tax
problems,
tax cuts,
tax breaks. I'm sure that was it. Emma Thomas told me that they wanted a different, Gotham was so big that they wanted to show a different part of the city, okay, fair enough. But going back to that, it was summer. It was June of 2011 in Pittsburgh, and flew up there. And I guess there were probably maybe 6, 7 online journalists. I mean, I am not a journalist, but you know what I mean.
You were that day. There you go.
And we went to Heinz Field, where the Steelers play, and sat in the press box, which I felt right at home because I'm used, as a coach, I was in coaching booths quite a bit during my career. Up, above the field next to the press box. But anyway, and we spent the day watching the whole, Bane blows up a football stadium scene being done. And it was literally an all day affair. I mean, I can't tell you how many takes they did. At first it was, with the team, the kickoff, the whole thing, Hines Ward and all that. And, they did that over and over and over again, and they had it set up because they didn't really, they didn't actually blow up the field at Heinz Field. It was, they had areas that were, green screened out where they were going to come back in later and do CGI to, crumble it up, I guess, and different things. So, that was a long process for the day. And then in between, we'd have members of the cast come in and do those little roundtable interviews. Like Bale, Hathaway, Tom Hardy. Tom Hardy went around and shook everyone's hand, introduced himself. Tom.
Nice.
Yeah. And some of the, Emma Thomas, Chris Nolan, some of the, let's see.
Did any of them see you again and do like a point, a wink? Like,
Chris Corbold. I had got to be friends with him. He was, the stunt, FX stunt coordinator dude. And I just remember him. I asked him a question, and hey, Bill, and everyone had looked at the table. Look, who is this? Who is this?
He sat up a little bit more straight, puffed the chest out a little bit.
I talked, and he got to talk to Emma, one-on-one, and she gave everybody a Gotham Rogues football T-shirt. I still have that. So yeah. And that was fun, talked, Anne Hathaway. She came in, even though she wasn't filming that day, and neither was Christian Bale. And
so were these interviews there at the stadium?
Yeah.
These were at the stadium. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So how was this? Okay. Well, first off, did you pinch yourself again?
I was feeling pretty, I was feeling my oats by that time, sir. Okay. I felt like I belong this time. Yes.
Chris Corbold just called you Bill.
Yes.
So
I felt this one, I felt like I belong. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So still with that, did you still drink it in as like, this is freaking awesome?
There's still part in there's still in my head. Even today is like, I can't believe I've done this.
Yeah.
I can't believe I've done all this stuff. because I mean, for a site that started out in a web TV in 1998, with one of those, online self, make your own website deals. It's just, it blows my mind still. Yeah.
Speechless.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool. This is too also like quite a different experience than sitting there and watching, a verbal exchange inside of a bank vault. It's a small and
yes,
personal to
a big
huge blockbuster event.
Huge stunt scene spectacle. Yeah. Yeah. It was.
So, was there anybody? So what stood out definitely in The Dark Knight was those round tables. I remember you'd said last episode, BOF Chronicles, was when Jonah Nolan, it's like zeroed in on you when you'd said the killing joke.
I was speaking his language. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think, wasn't that the one where afterward he said, "Hey, are you Bill? We read your site." Okay. Was there any kind of moments in this round, like in these interviews, that really stood out to you? It doesn't have to be that like somebody sought you out, but something that was said that was really like, holy shit, that's awesome.
I had no clue of this, but I did ask Bell about, I'm trying to think how I worded the question. I get the gist of it. About coming back and this, I think of something like, does Batman need to be redeemed? And then he immediately looked at me and was, like, not pointing his finger at me, but like I had sparked something. He said, it's about being more than a hero. It's about being, I mean, he's echoing themes that we saw in The Dark Knight that we're seeing also in Rises, that Batman was what Gotham, literally what Gotham needed him to be after the Harvey Dent deal, and this was and he's like, this was the consequence. So, he's not a hero, Bale said, and maybe he doesn't get redeemed. Now, of course, he knew how the damn thing was going to end, but he just made a very interesting point and it kind of goes back to, I mean, you could have ended it with The Dark Knight and just continued on in your imagination afterwards. But yeah, I got what he meant. And it was, it was a theme that came out of The Dark Knight it's almost like in Rises that Batman was redeemed against his will. You know what I mean? That he was fine with the way things were because he did what he had to do.
Chef's kiss,
Yeah.
Do you, for a round table like this, so when I keep calling it a round table, would that be accurate to call it's a round table?
Literally a round table.
Okay. All right, good.
Yeah.
How long, what is that like? So how many minutes is each person in? Is it each journalist gets a question? Is it a free for all? Is it seem very
it's a free for all,
laid back?
It's laid back.
Okay.
It's a free for all. So you got to speak up. You want to get a question in. I don't know, 15, 20 minutes a person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll take some time.
Yeah.
I would feel like in your shoes, they'd cap me. Especially with it being Batman, and I just have genuine questions, not because not any kind of malice or bad intent. It's like, no, I don't care if I'm just a fan here. I've got questions for you. I just keep wanting to ask.
My questions were always, and I think what grabbed their attention was always more like when I asked when I got a lot of what. Like, I know some of the other guys there were Batman fans too, but I would say there was no one a Batman fan like me, at least not a student of history with the character. And I got the influences, and same thing with Jonathan Nolan when I brought up, just, it's a little bit of Killing Joke in this. Yeah. And it's like, you get this, right? Yeah. Okay, cool. And it was more of that. So my questions were more along that line when I got a chance with a screenwriter or an actor, but usually the director or the writers would, because they were more involved in that stuff than
did Nolan have Christopher Nolan, did he have facial recognition with you since you got that one-on-one a few years prior?
Yeah, I did.
That's cool.
I mean, he literally came from the football field. It's freaking June and it was warm in Pittsburgh, and he's got his Nolan suit on, his vest and suit and all that stuff. So, he came up and did his thing and went back down and, saw the whole, Bane addressing the audience, and then the snapping of Dr. Pavlov's, that was it. Pavel. Yes.
Dr. Pavel.
Yes. All that, they sang the damn national anthem and the whole nine, everything you see in that scene. Yeah, they did. Now I think Tom Hardy came back and did some post-production voice work, because you could hear him with the mic in the stadium speaker, but it's not as clear as you see it in the film.
So how was this one, aside from obviously a different city, a different thing being filmed and such, how was this one different from, your set visit on The Dark Knight?
It was basically, the same type of setup, and it wasn't all day affair, but you kind of pointed out, the other one was very small and intimate, and this one was this huge action scene, but the rest, kind of flowed the same way, same kind of deal,
Gotcha.
I don't think there was much of a difference with that. And I think now that was the last one of those I got to do. And we'll talk about that in these other films. But after that, they were more of like press conferences, where they would just have them all on a stage and literally it'd be a press conference.
Yeah.
Like you see, on TV. So, I don't know what they're gonna do with the Batman, what format.
Yeah, especially given the times of the pandemic era and stuff. That's too bad. My money is that you're not going to be in a round table room.
I would
Matt
say
Reeves in the cast.
I don't think so.
I don't think that's going to happen. So when I know we went through this the last episode, but so were you able to post on BOF that you were going to the set to film?
No.
You were not. Okay. No. And then now what's that process like of they're telling you, and then how long you have to sit on it, and then when they email you and tell you can drop it on your website?
Yeah. Okay. It'll be like we'll let you know when the embargo's lifted. It'll be sometime, I think this was, it was damn near a year later. I think we started dropping those set visit articles like
midnight the day of, I thought.
Yeah, April or May of that before, of 2012 when the film came out. So that's crazy sometimes to think about. You go back and revisit that stuff and go, shit, that was a year ago, when this happened.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I'd imagine that you'd have to write down as many notes as you possibly can.
Yeah,
because otherwise I'm not going to remember this by the time that I'm able to post this in the embargo.
I still have all my notes I took from those set visits and
physical notebooks.
Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah,
dig those out. Take some pictures of those.
Of course, I had I had my recorder, so I had it all recorded. Anyway, having to go through and then you had to transcribe all that stuff. It was a process,
You still have the recorder. Have you listened to those?
I don't know if I even have. I don't know where that recorder would be or what the hell is on it. It's one of those digital recorders with like 4 different channels. So
Sure.
I mean, it may some of that stuff maybe exists somewhere on one of those.
Gotcha. Oh, that's cool though.
Yeah.
All right, so Pittsburgh basically all summer of 2011.
Mm-hmm.
This is just feeding frenzy for BOF. So how do you?
Oh, I remember some. Here I remember the just a couple of days before the set visit is when they released the first picture of Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, and she's on the Bat Pod.
Mm-hmm.
People freaked out about that. They freaked out about the mask, and then
wait, that's my what? No way.
And they freaked out that she didn't have cat ears, she didn't have a cowl, and any of that. Remember all that stuff?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I remember.
And I remember going to, and we get in the press box, and they have a bunch of, I mean, big size, like poster size publicity shots all around. And one of them was the picture of her where she's squatting next to the safe.
Oh, yeah.
When she cracks in when the night Batman comes back, well, what do you know? And she has the goggles up and their cat ears.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember some of the gals were like, that's the picture they should have put out. That's the one. And that would have had all these fans wouldn't got upset. And I was like, well, F the fans. I mean, come on now. You know why they put that picture of the Bat Pod up with her? Because they were filming that like the next day they filmed her on the Bat Pod during the big finale fight scene,
Yeah.
They were nipping that in the bud. So, but yeah, that's still a great picture.
Oh yeah. Both are.
Yeah.
Both are good.
Mm-hmm.
So when you have now, what was your, I mean, it probably still applies now. What is your process of you get a tip on information or images are released and whatnot? What's the Bill Raimi filter that it has to go through before it makes it up on the site?
I just still don't. To this day, I will not post those, paparazzi spy pics. I won't, or video.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the same then. I just, there were a lot of, images of the stunt woman on the Bat Pod and all that stuff, and the fight scene that day. And hell, it was even on the local news, in Pittsburgh. I just don't go there. It's tomorrow. I'd rather just release what comes out official, in regards to that stuff. I just don't want to play into the, clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit.
Well, and I feel like because having that as your stance, that's gotten you into that press box.
Well, it didn't hurt. I would say, yeah, sure. And also, and look, I don't know, people will go, there's an argument to be made like, well, the studio knows, and it's, it's still publicity, and then, they don't hate it. And I'm like, well, that could be true to a certain degree, but that's just, I mean,
I feel like maybe the studio, but as far as Nolan and company, them as people.
Yeah. Oh, that dude wanted
he wouldn't want anything
out.
Yeah. Yeah. And that'd be more important to me than
than
a studio part.
Yeah.
So yeah, that makes sense.
I just didn't, it just was, this happened. I really around begins when you had to make that decision. I probably talked about that then. I'm like, it's just not my place to ruin a film for someone, or ruin a film for a filmmaker who considers his film to be a magic trick, and he doesn't want you to see how the magic trick is done,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you don't want to see how it's, I mean, we all want to know, but we don't want to know.
Yeah.
So during this wave of filming, we already discussed how last time around The Dark Knight that BOF broke the internet in that time period. You had to upgrade because you couldn't it couldn't handle you, Bill. The internet couldn't handle you. So what was that like then for Dark Knight Rises?
It was huge
for your posting.
It was
big
huge
too.
Mm-hmm. It was huge. There was so much hype for that film, It was it wasn't maybe as fun because there wasn't the big viral campaign that went along that we got to play with The Dark Knight, but it was still big.
Mm-hmm.
It was still big, and especially when, they made no secret about it. This is it.
Yeah.
It ends the story, which frankly, I think it's one of the reasons that why Rises gets shit on by some fans is that it's not like a comic book where the story just goes on and on and on and on and on. That Nolan made a 3-part Batman film that had an ending,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and a happy ending for that matter. To be
Bruce
honest,
Wayne is happy.
Yeah,
Bruce Wayne is happy. Well, let's fast forward a little bit to the end of 2011 because I don't remember specifics on how it came out, but they were following their lead of in front of an IMAX. Now, was this Mission Impossible? I think it was in front of Mission Impossible.
For the epilogue, the prologue. I said epilogue,
yes.
The prologue. I went to LA just for that.
Just for that.
For that.
Open up. Tell us about that. How did that come about?
Now that one was fun because I went out there and it was over at I had been there a few times, but I think it was at what is it? Universal Studios in Hollywood. They have a huge
That's funny.
Yeah. They have this they have that big theme park there. And they have the big theme park and they have like entertainment district and there's a big, huge ass IMAX theater there. So it was there. And it's just press people. And Mr. Chris Nolan comes out at the beginning. He's down at the bottom. You've been in IMAX, how, it's huge. And then, it's how the pitch of the thing. And he's down at the bottom. He comes out and just grabs the mic and says, thanks everybody for being here. And here's, I'm going to show you a little bit. This is the opening scene of The Dark Knight Rises. And it goes dark. They play the prologue, the whole, the whole Bane takes down the plane thing. And then after there's a like a cocktail party. Pretty much, in the lobby outside of the IMAX. And, they have food and they have drinks and all that. And there's tables set up. And so I'm just, kind of standing there. And I knew I was friends with the publicist at Warner Brothers who had invited me. And so I'm visiting with her. And when we're kind of talking about, with other people talking about the prologue, and she goes, well, come on, we're going to go over here. And so she takes me and I'm like in the area where Chris Nolan and Emma are at their little table. Mm-hmm. And like, not bragging, but like you weren't, you just couldn't venture in there. And literally I visited with him for 30, 40 minutes straight, just talking about Batman stuff and the films. And he asked me questions about Batman, because he obviously he loves Batman.
Well-versed.
He likes Batman. He's well-versed, but he's not, and I asked him, was this an influence? What have you outside of your Batman films? Have you read comic books? What do you look at any other? I remember, it's just interesting that,
how do you sit at his table? If you said that you can't just wander over there.
Oh, the Warner Brothers publicists.
Oh, just said, come on in.
Yeah. Come on. No, I didn't go over there. And then they said, come on. She said, okay, we're going over here. You and I.
Wow. You see, I don't think you've said now here you go, Bill. This is the point of the BOF Chronicles. I don't know. I don't remember you ever posting this or writing up about this conversation.
I didn't write. No, probably not. It was kind of a more of a,
I don't care how many oats you have, pinch your damn self.
It's more of a,
good Lord.
That was kind of a, like my thinking is that was kind of a personal thing where
sure.
Chris did that and engaged me for that long that I didn't think that it was for, public consumption. It was because more, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, the fact that you did, I think is, and what was said doesn't necessarily need to be shared. That keeps it personal. But the fact that that's awesome. I think in your shoes, it's ridiculous because I'd be like, I want to get, I want them to let me in so I can sit and talk to him. But then sitting and talk to him, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm going to annoy the hell out of him because I'm just sitting here asking questions about Batman.
Oh,
he's annoyed about listening to Batman.
He seemed honestly interested. He asked me questions.
Awesome. Yeah.
And
you were doing all this solo. Announcer Rachel wasn't with you.
I by myself, and a lot of the other media people I know they're looking like, who was this son of a bitch again?
That's the gumbo guru.
Yeah,
that's right. Gotta cook gumbo.
Yeah.
Was this a fancy suit and tie event, or was it very casual?
Casual. It
was really casual. Awesome.
They
tell you that beforehand?
Yeah. Nolan was in his Nolan suit.
Of course. Always in his Nolan suit.
Yeah.
Man, that's great. Okay. Well, what was your reaction to that prologue then?
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah. How was Bane? Think about, if you can, was he hard to understand then, or were you?
I will say this. I could hear. I mean, that was some of the shit that it got. I remember as Bane. I heard him perfectly fine. I will say though that when the film came out 6 months later, 7 months later, his voice volume was a little higher and a little more crisper. I will say that. But it wasn't this, I mean, it wasn't like people made it out to be, you know?
Yeah. In the end, his voice was awesome. So,
yeah.
I mean, it's still talked about. I just try to do my best impression. So,
and to think that, most of that was practical, man. That whole, it's awesome.
Yeah. Oof, man. Okay. So there we go. You have that under your belt. They, just like with the Dark Knight's formula of, they released the prologue in front of IMAX viewings. The regular trailer was released that day. Otherwise, then I feel like that was the hype train it's moving. Like now it's moving. It's the floodgates are open. And that was a movie that received, I remember, four trailers.
Yes.
So how was that marketing? I don't know. Like, just take us through that front half of 2012 now with BOF. Like, it had to be every day, maybe even multiple times a day. There's something.
I want to say there were a lot more. There were more trailers. There were more, quote unquote posters that went along with that film. Character posters and all that stuff that you see. That's like commonplace now.
Yeah,
that's the first time I remember covering a film that did, had the character posters and different posters for this and that and whatnot. So yeah. And
this isn't the Ryan Lauer Chronicles, but that summer was great because I remember they were doing a Tumblr tour, and they were taking the Tumblr and the Bat Pod across the country, and they did 2 hours south of me and around Indianapolis area.
Yeah,
and they had them both, and so I drove down there that day and got my picture, and I took my fiance, and she just reached over the line. She's like, "Touch it. You're never going to get close enough to touch one." So then took a picture. I reached over and I touched the Bat Pod and the tumbler. And then we went inside Walmart, and that's when I think it was BOF, because, I was in Batman heaven that day. And then it said, like a new trailer. And I'm like, oh shit, really? A fourth trailer? And that was that last one that was really like, God damn, I'm going to kick down the door. I'm amped. Give me this movie.
Yeah.
For me, nothing tops TDK summer, but I mean, Dark Knight Rises that summer was like, that was full of a bunch of great moments too. So you get it, you're invited to the premiere. How is this process? Was it, and I mean, aside from location, how was this different than Begins and Dark Knight?
Similar to Dark Knight.
Okay.
Got an email with an invitation, and
they just showed up in your inbox.
Yeah.
It's not like you were keeping in contact and be like, hey, so when's the premiere?
Mm-mm.
Am I getting invited? It's just
hey, Bill.
Up. Yeah. Here you go.
I never asked for any of that.
Sure.
I didn't. Just showed up.
Good.
And I went by myself and to New York.
Announcer Rachel didn't.
She did not go to that one. Yeah. I did get to return a favor. A buddy of mine, I'm still buddies with today, used to be a publicist for Warner Brothers, and he was the first Warner Brothers person who ever contacted me way back in 2003 or whatever, when it was, leading up to Batman Begins. And he had left Warner Brothers and went to a new job after The Dark Knight, but we're still buddies. So I got to return the favor. He was my date. He was my guest to the the premiere.
You're plus one.
Yeah, he was.
That's awesome.
So just go, and you get your, they have a place, you get your ticket and go in the theater and watch the movie, and then you get on a bus and they take you to the after party, which was at the New York Public Library, famous for the Ghostbusters scene.
Yeah.
So
okay, that's cool. So this is still new. Yes, it's a new movie and such too, and it's 4 years later. But you're the opposite side of the country for this one.
I had saw it. I'd already seen it at a local press screening, and then this was the second time I was watching it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought the premiere was your first time seeing it. Okay. Local press screening. Woo!
Because the premiere is literally like right before the film comes out. So
yeah.
And this thing had screened for the press a couple weeks before the for the release date.
Damn. That's cool. So okay, so did you have roundtable discussions at the premiere event? No.
I didn't do like the red carpet stuff.
Sure.
I didn't cover that. I was just straight up there as an attendee. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now there's two things that I want to reference this, and one is because you sat by someone. I sat
by the individual who was the 45th president of the United States, who would go on to be the 45th president of the United States.
Drop any kind of whatever. That's not what that's for. It's just the idea, the fact that that was, so you sat by, that's pretty holy shit.
There was a TV show that was very popular on NBC back then.
Yeah.
That he had. And it was,
surreal. That's surreal.
And in front of me was Regis Philbin.
That part I think you've left out. That's freaking awesome.
Regis Philbin. The seat right in front of me. Yeah.
Wow. Oh, that's cool.
And there were other people I recognize. I can't remember, looking back. Because those were, it was right in front and next to me. So
sure. Yeah. That's cool. Well, the second part is because before you entered the theater, you had to give up your phone. And then you got your phone back when you got out, right?
That was, yes. But also, if I think what you're going to lead the Emma Thomas story.
Yes. Was that for the screening?
That was at the press junket I had out in Los Angeles. Yes.
Okay.
And I had seen it there. Yeah. I had seen it twice before I saw it at the premiere in New York. Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's rewind then to the press. Let's go back to the press junket. So you saw it first at the press junket or first at the press screening in
press junket
and then
press junket, and then I saw it at the press screening in Houston. Yeah.
Okay. So press junket at that where there were roundtables and stuff.
They did that one. They did the press conference thing.
Okay.
At the Beverly Hilton. And Rachel went with me to that.
Okay, well that's cool.
And here's another just obscure weird story about that. We stayed at the Beverly Hilton and we were in the room across the hall from where Whitney Houston had passed not too long before that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Just a bit of just a little anecdote
random
right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Another anecdote for your biography.
They had taken the room number off the door, but it was obvious what it was.
Yeah.
And I Googled it, you know, and I went, oh, Jesus. Yeah.
Yeah. Shit. That's eerie.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for that press junket, okay. How did that, okay. So, I remember you saying on BOF that this was in that press junket specifically, it's like the only time that you've even seen Christopher Nolan. I don't know if you said pissed, but you could tell that he was angry.
Yeah. Yeah.
What was that about?
One of the reporters asked him about the Robin twist.
Oof. And he said some people there hadn't seen the movie, right?
Well, she said, she prefaced when he kind of got butthurt or angry, whatever you want to look at it. She said, we've all seen the movie, right? And so I thought, I would just suspect that most people in here saw it, you know, but I don't know if he was just upset that maybe she was going to write what he said because the movie hadn't come out yet and spoil the whole thing, you know? So I think that was more what it was looking back now. Yeah. Then her actually bringing it up in the press conference, I think it was more about him worried that her or someone else there would write it in the review or write it in their story about, you know, the press the press deal. So, and I get that. I would be upset too, because that was a big twist in the film.
Sure.
And I had no idea it was coming personally.
And I mean, I just feel like the way that the movie unfolded and how it was even said is that's something that could have been held very late in the game, because you don't see the woman say it. You're looking at John Blake and then you just hear audibly. It's like, oh, that could just be last second additional audio there. So to keep that really close to the chest. So let's go with now so for the press junket, you have to give up your phone. You go in and view the movie. How was that watching it for the first time? What did you think?
I love that movie. The ending got me. It got me. And I don't know if it was just, you know, I mean, the moment when Alfred looks up and Bruce is with Selena, and and it's clear, it's very subtle, but it's clear it's not a, you know, a dream or whatever. It's because she's wearing the pearls.
Yeah.
She's wearing those pearls again. And Alfred would have known that, you know, it was, and you know, that Bruce Wayne had survived. And then the whole little thing of everyone realizing, all those people he was close to, realizing that he was still alive, you know, and then culminating, you know, at the end with Alfred. And with Alfred's always his wish that, you know, he would have a normal life and be happy. I cried. I ain't gonna bullshit you.
Yeah.
Yeah. It hit me. And it was also that, but it was the end of a journey for me that started really in 1998. You know, it wasn't just getting Begins. Now you got this whole story, and I was able to be there, part of it. It was just, it was awesome. It was awesome.
At the end of a press junket like that, does, you know, at the end of that movie, when it says The Dark Knight Rises, does everybody clap?
Yeah.
Just
hell
like,
yeah.
Hell yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
So you're crying, you collect yourself, you walk out of the theater and get your phone.
Get my phone. And so it's at the same theater over in Universal Studios, with, you know, and then with the entertainment district. And we walked over to I think we went to Hard Rock Cafe, and had my phone, opened it up, turned it on, and I got a text from Emma Thomas saying, "By now you've seen the film." That's because that was the first time I saw it, and hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that we did right by Batman in your eyes, Emma. And that was,
that was part 2. What an emotional day for Bill Ramey.
Yeah. So it was
announcer Rachel had to be your rock.
That was a hell of a run, man. That was a good times back then.
You went into Hard Rock and you said, "You give me the biggest draft of Miller Lite
I got a big ass. I did. I said, yeah. That was good. That was, God, that was a good days, and that was a good time. And
just think about that. So
even the day, maybe it was that day, earlier that day, we're just sitting in the Beverly Hilton at the bar, and they're doing this is during the junket. The junket is there, and so they are doing they're doing TV stuff and all this other, all those interviews you see like on Entertainment Tonight.
Mm-hmm.
When they're sitting down in front of a backdrop of the film, and they're doing these little 5-minute things. They're doing all those. And so I look up, and Chris Nolan and Emma Thomas they're coming to go to that press area, and they see me, and I wave, and they stop and come up and say, I think that's probably the first time I'd saw them during that deal, because I hadn't gone to the press conference thing yet. That was the following day.
Take a moment. You saw those two and you waved at them.
Yes.
And they recognized you and came walking over. Like,
and they
said,
they said, "Oh, you made it, and we're so excited for y'all to see the film tonight." And they didn't use y'all. It's just
well, shit. I've heard them talk. Of course they do.
And it was only 30 seconds, but it was cool.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. And Emma Thomas has your phone number.
I'm sure
she does. That's freaking, yes. That's cool too. Like the Team Nolan has a way to get a hold of Bill Ramey.
I'm happy. I guess I'm not happy. I'm very proud that I earned their respect.
Yeah. Sure.
Mm-hmm. That's the best way I can put it. And same for Michael Uslan, earned his respect.
And that's what I was saying earlier of your stance on not doing the spy picks and stuff. It's because, sure, Warner Brothers may not care too much, but earning that respect of Nolan and Emma Thomas and Uslan and stuff, it's like that matters more. So
that matters more to me than any of the cool stuff I got to do, movie premieres, any of that stuff. And that even, to be honest, that respect that I had earned helped me. And we'll talk about it on the next show. Man of Steel. Nolan was a producer on Man of Steel. I went to the Man of Steel press junket. I got to go to the Man of Steel premiere in New York. Even BVS, same thing. Even though he was just an EP on that one, that respect from them, and and the studio, benefited me to be able to do some cool stuff and bring it to Batman on Film fans, and then ultimately here, a decade later, here I am talking about it to you.
Oh yeah. So we're about to wrap up, but I think that's a good capper for this and the Dark Knight trilogy era and such. But how long after that was, which I can't see it, but I know it's on your bookshelf, your letter from Nolan? What was that? Like?
I'll get it. Hold on.
I know. I should have warned Bill ahead of time I was going to grab it, but I know it's within arm's reach, so he's grabbing it. Some Christopher Nolan authentic stationery. Authentic from Nolan and Company.
This was probably like September, maybe. Okay. Afterwards. and I get an email from a gentleman, probably a kid, not a kid, but a kid to me. You're a kid to me.
Yeah,
and said, "I am so and so. I work for Syncope, and the Nolans, and Mr. Nolan would like your address. He would like to send you something." And so
it's through an email.
Okay.
So how do you know this isn't bullshit?
I 100% knew it wasn't, just based on what was in the email.
Sure. Okay.
And I want to say that probably Emma was copied on it, and I knew her.
Okay.
Okay.
There you go.
All right. And so I said, okay. And then, so I don't know, a week later, this package comes, and in it is this. And I know this is audio only.
Yeah. Bill, I just say thank you. Oh, do you want me to read it? Bill, I just wanted to write a quick note to say thank you for all of your support and encouragement over the years. It's been an incredible ride, made possible mostly by the passion and dedication of fans, and hold it up just a little bit more, of Batman, for dedication of fans of Batman such as you. Thank you for everything, Chris, or Christopher.
Yep. Chris.
Handwritten,
folks. And you can
Bill's
see,
posted a picture before, but I'm looking at it now. It's like that's handwritten.
Yeah. And you can
that is
see the, Christopher Nolan at the top on the stationery. Yeah. That's one of my prized possessions right there. Maybe it may be the prized possession of all that.
Of course. So he wants the guy asks for your address, and you have no idea what's coming. So how long until you receive the package, and what was that? Give me the details. It looks like a regular just envelope, or
it was like in a FedEx package, but it was with all the what's the stuff, the bubble wrap. Yeah. Packaged up very well. It wasn't framed. It was just, and then it's within that, it was in another envelope that was big enough for that, and there you go.
So this was Bill breakdown sob number 3 on the Dark Knight Rises.
I was just this one. I was just really proud of it.
Yeah.
No tears on this one. I was just like, yeah. Okay. Humbled.
Yeah. Of course.
I mean, he didn't have to do that. He didn't have to do that at all. He did not.
He didn't have to. And then I'm sorry, but in an age even 9 years ago, handwriting instead of just typing something out.
Yeah.
That's a personal touch, which I know could probably sound like I'm trying to be hyperbolic or something. It's not, but somebody actually hand writes a note to somebody now through a text or email. That's an extra touch to it. And so you got that from Christopher Nolan, the director of the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yep.
End of an era.
It was.
I think it's the end of this. It's the end of this part too.
Yeah.
Perfect ending point. So, summarize what the Dark Knight trilogy, if you can't, what did it mean to you then, as your outro?
It's definitely, to date, I'll say that, to date, it's what I always wanted in a Batman live action, big screen Batman movie story. And I am very happy. I know a lot of people are, there's a lot of people that wish it had continued on and just on and on and on, and, recast and just whatever, new director. But I even wrote something for MTV. MTV asked me to write a story. They were doing a thing on Game Changers, and they asked me to do one on Nolan after Dark Knight Rises, and I did write that. And it was like, he was a game changer, and it's because he had the balls to end a story
Mm-hmm.
that involved a franchise character, where before, you just, I mean, it would just keep going and it would keep going and it would keep going. And eventually, I mean, you probably would have ran it into the ground.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you would have gotten Batman versus Superman or Justice League, at least not the ones that we got, if it hadn't been for no one establishing that, yeah, you can tell a 3-part finite story with an ending and with a huge tentpole, major pop culture, action hero character, comic book character, and have it come to an end, and look, it influenced not only is Batman Begins influenced Casino Royale with the Bond franchise, which is essentially, I mean, Casino Royale is almost the Batman Begins for the Daniel Craig Bond. Apparently, the new one that's out, or it's out now and overseas. It's coming Friday here to the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
No Time to Die, which is Craig's last film. It's got a lot of the Rises is an influence on it because the story ends.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the Dark Knight trilogy is a big deal. Is a big deal. It has a big influence on not only the comic book movie genre, but just any kind of franchise, action franchise that you can tell one story
Mm-hmm.
over 2, 3, 4 films, and at some point let a new creative team come in and do something. Like no one's applauding. He's talking, he's always asked about Matt Reeves and the Batman, and he had worked with Robert Pattinson. So, and he's, does say that he's looking forward to seeing a different interpretation, someone else's interpretation as well.
It is in discussions for sure as one of the greatest movie trilogies of all time.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah,
and rightfully so. And to do that with an all of cinema, not just like a superhero genre, but to do a superhero trilogy, and it's one of the greatest trilogies of all movies. That's a huge deal. And like you just said, it's how its influences on the movie industry and stuff too. It's it's up there. It's pretty good. And we've milked over 4 hours talking about it. Consider that.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yes.
So
that's true.
Sir, thanks again for sitting down and doing this.
Yeah.
I know we still have a few more to get to before that deadline.
Well, just tease what's in store. Just tease what's in store for whoever's listening.
Well, then we're definitely going to be talking next time around Batman versus Superman, the journey to that. And I think that'll be a great discussion, because it's almost a reset on BOF in a way. We don't have the Nolan and company coming up with a new Batman movie. So what's that building? And then we're gonna talk about the roller coaster of Justice League, the theatrical release, and then we'll be talking, probably our last one, we'll be doing the Batman talk, because we're going to be doing that one really close to release of the Batman in March, and maybe get some people who have some questions for you. Maybe we'll have some questions.
Okay,
they can send your way or send my way, and we'll put something out about that.
Send them your way. That way,
I don't want you to see them.
I don't want to see them. Exactly.
Yeah. I don't want you to see them, and of course, I'd filter through, because I'm sure Dick Shoes would have some kind of asinine question for you. So we'll send him my way.
He would ask me the question via tweet, and then he would retweet
himself. Yes. Exactly. But yeah, we'll put something out on that, how you can send some questions my way, and that's what's in store for the BOF Chronicles. And then that's going to be a wrap on this little sub series in the BOF world. So
and then 10 years from now, we'll have to do it again and talk about the Batman trilogy or quadrilogy, whatever it ends up being, and everything involved in that.
We'll bring back the BOF Chronicles.
Yes.
It'll be a little bit different.
Yeah.
I won't be a kid anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I definitely will not be a kid. I'm not a kid now. In my mind, I am. So
of course.
Yeah.
Never grow up. So Bill, again, thank you. And if I don't know, plug away. I know that seems like a crazy question to ask you, but go ahead. Plug away.
Just go to Batman on Film, batman-on-film.com. Just go there. You'll find me on, you can find my Twitter and all that stuff at Batman on Film on Twitter, at the Batman on Film on Twitter also, which is just news links. You can find us on Instagram at Batman on Film as well. I'm not a big Instagrammer, but I've been trying to play around with that a little bit as well. If you like what we do here at Batman on Film, want to support us, become a Patreon, patreon.com/Batman on Film. If you have no F's left to give about whatever it is, I don't care. Just you have no F's left to give and want to represent that motto, you can go to tpublic.com. There's some Batman on Film gear that also helps support the site. And again, everything, you'll find links to all that on Batman on Film. That's pretty much all I got, man. What about you?
All right. Well, I have some write-ups there on Batman on Film, so you can just go to everything Bill just said, and you can find comic book reviews, movie reviews, some Lego reviews, an interview.
Speaking of comic book reviews.
Sure.
How many issues of this current creative team of Batman are left?
3.
That you have to endure.
3. And as I put in my latest review, Bill, I've always been told if you have nothing nice to say, don't say anything at all. And so I ended that with, I'm really excited for the Batman title in December.
Yes.
Take that exactly how I said it.
That review is on Batman on Film. It was posted yesterday morning, so please read that. Yes.
That is there, as well as some other reviews of series that I really, really love, and the Lego reviews. And my interview with Lee Bermeo, I will champion that because that bill was done because of Batman on Film. There's video interviews. Bill and I did. Tim Sheridan, the writer of The Long Halloween Parts 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Awesome guy and great interviews. So check all that out on Batman on Film. And also you can follow my podcast, the Batman Book Club, where we explore the Dark Knight library. Bill has been on many times. I think you agreed, whether you remember or not, you're coming back on again soon.
I was about to ask you, I need to get back on there and we'll talk something.
Do you know which book?
Which book did we pick? Oh my gosh.
It's an Elseworld story. Your favorite one.
Oh, Gotham by Gaslight?
There it is.
Yeah.
You're still good with that, right? Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that'll be coming up soon. But I mean, I just dropped an episode. October is definitely spooky month. So gathered the Bat Boys to talk some spooky stories. And with Mr. Ryan Haas, we just did Batman 237, also known Night of the Reaper, from Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams. That's on BOF. You can find on my Twitter at the Batman BC. I guess my Lauer Twitter is at Lauer_Ryan. Lauer spelled like Lower.
Are you doing with the Halloween thing? Are you doing you're going to touch on the Elseworld Red Rain stuff?
I did Red Rain with Justin Kowalski last year, and we're going to do the sequel, Bloodstorm. That's going to be this month too. Okay. So let's see. Next is going to be with Peter Vera, who's probably still recovering from the Yankees' loss last night. The Fears, which is the first Legends of the Dark Knight Halloween special with Logan Sale. Last year we did Madness, and we're gonna do Fears.
Okay. Cool.
And then Garrett's gonna come on for a story I've never read, Batman Annual number 16. It's fun. Read more Batman comics.
Yes.
There's a lot of good stories.
Yeah, we promote that here at Batman on Film.
That's right. So Bill, before announcer Rachel totally takes us out, can you give us one fiery Texan outro? Batman on Film.
Oh, you want me to do that one?
It's been a while, but I want to keep it alive. We're nostalgic here.
You want the new one, the new motto, or
I want the old one,
the old one,
the classic.
Okay. Batman on Film, authoritative, definitive, the dadgum original. Dadgum it.
There you go.
You've been listening to the BOF Chronicles, the official history of Batman on film. Follow host Ryan Lauer on Twitter @Lauer_Ryan. Follow Jed on Twitter @BatmanOnFilm. For all of Team BOF, I'm announcer Rachel. Authoritative, definitive, the original. Batman on Film.